Hello, everybody. This is Sunday. It's June 19th, and we are headed into week 7 of our online astronomy course. Hope you've all had a good week. I had a good week. Last week, I mentioned that I was going to be attending by Zoom a meeting of the American Astronomical Society. It was last Monday through Thursday, and I heard a lot of cool talks about what was going on in astronomy. And one that is relevant to what we were talking about last week was this talk on the characterization of exoplanets. You know, we know of, 5,044 exoplanets, other planets going around other stars. And what we want to do is find signs of life. And this is what we're doing. We're really looking at how the atmospheres of these exoplanets are shaped by their environments and how we can look for signs of water in those atmospheres. It was a really exciting talk, and the person who presented it, she said that within 20 years, she expects to have found life on other exoplanets, signs of life on other exoplanets. So that is really cool. What else is going on in astronomy this week? Let's see. This Tuesday, the 21st, if you get up at 3:13 in the morning and you just wake up then, that is the time of the summer solstice. That's the time when we leave spring, head into summer. It's the time when Earth's rotation axis is pointed most directly as it can toward the sun. So, first day of summer, Tuesday in Salt Lake City, Tuesday, 3:13 a.m. So, set your alarms if you really want to get up and experience that moment for yourself. But let's talk about Module 17 a bit. Module 17 is about the terrestrial planets: Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars. Now, of course, we talked about Earth and the Moon in the previous module, but this time we're going to look at Mercury. Mercury is about the size of our own moon. It's covered with craters. They're really very similar. Venus and Mars. Venus is almost a twin to Earth, about the same size, but very, very different than Earth. In fact, the surface of Venus is even hotter than the surface of Mercury, even though Mercury is closer to the sun. And the reason is that Venus has a thick carbon dioxide atmosphere, and it has a super greenhouse effect that really has raised its surface temperature way up, very hot, the hottest surface in the solar system. And we'll also learn about Mars. And Mars, as you know, has been the focus of a lot of recent attention. And Mars also has, as it happens, an atmosphere that is almost completely carbon dioxide, but there's not very much of it. It's not capable of trapping the heat that would otherwise, in a greenhouse effect, would warm the planet. So Mars, you see, on the middle of the summer, really doesn't even get up that warm. But we are now exploring Mars. We've been exploring Mars. In fact, we've had a presence on Mars since 1976, when the first Viking landers landed. And this is, in back of me, is our most recent lander. It's called Perseverance. It also has a little helicopter called Intrepid. And Perseverance is slowly making its way over to a river delta. In fact, just a couple days ago, it arrived at the river delta. And what Perseverance is doing is that it is drilling down into the Martian crust and taking core samples. And it's going, I'll just move to the side here. You can see the Perseverance rover. a little bit better. It's about the size of a good-sized van. And it takes those core samples and it puts them into little tubes. And you can see some of these tubes here, just over my shoulder. On the left, you can see there's tubes on the surface. It's going to leave them there. And then a future mission, which is already being planned, is going to go to Mars, collect those tubes, and then return to Earth. You know, to include the Earth return mission on this mission along with Perseverance would have just been too much. And so we have to do this in 2 separate missions. And so soon we'll have samples of Mars on Earth, pristine samples, uncontaminated, and we can look for signs of life in those. And you know, growing up, let me show you this. This is the first, one of the first little books I ever had when I was growing up in the early 60s. It's a little golden book of about the stars. And in this, they certainly talked about the planets. And let me show you what Mars looks like in this little book I had when I was growing up back in Maryland. And you can see, if you look there, that Mars looks like it has green on it. Now, they weren't saying that there's life on Mars, but it was certainly suggestive. And I think that everybody, you know, that grew up when I was, just so you'll know, I was born in 1949, the first half of the previous century, so I'm an old guy. But when I was growing up in the 60s, people were talking about life on Mars. And so when the Viking landers landed in 1976 and didn't find evidence of life, I think it was a big disappointment, especially when it took pictures. And you saw what you see here in the background, which is this barren, rocky landscape. But that doesn't mean that there wasn't life in the past. The best place to look for life is where you have water, and we know there were large amounts, oceans of water once on Mars. And the best place to look for life is where there was a river delta flowing into this region where the Perseverance rover is. It's just made its way over to that river delta. It's going to be taking core samples, and those will be returned to Earth. So really exciting times for the exploration of Mars. So you'll learn all about Mercury, Venus, about Mars, and this is the great time of planetary exploration. You know, when I was growing up and reading my little star book, we never visited another planet. I mean, we'd never even been to the moon. My book talks about going to the moon here, and the pictures of the moon it has are really pretty comical. Here, let me just show you one. See if I can find one quickly here. Here we go. Well, I'm not finding it, but it shows these big mountain peaks, and you know, it shows a rocket going to the moon. So, you know, supposedly what it would look like if we would go and visit our moon. And it just shows, you know, real science fiction, bad science fiction looking rocket going to the moon. There it is. So we've come a long way since then. I think I've grown up in one of the most exciting times that there's been in astronomy, which is why I just love to share all this excitement. I hope I'm sharing this excitement with you. So let's take a look at Stellarium, see what's in the sky here. So I will switch over to Stellarium and share the screen. There we go. Oops. Need to make it full screen. There we are. Now, this is really an interesting time, because if you go out early in the morning, this is on June 24th, you can see a parade of planets. This is about 5 in the morning. We're looking slightly toward the southeast or east. And if you look over more toward the east, you'll see Saturn, and then Jupiter and Mars and the Moon and the Venus and even Mercury near the rising sun. Now, Mercury is really hard to see, but this is so unusual to have this parade of Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, Venus, and Mercury, 5 planets in a straight line. And of course, they're in a straight line because they all orbit the sun in the same plane, the plane of the ecliptic. And so what you're looking at in this straight line is the plane in which the planets orbit the sun, the plane of the ecliptic. So, yeah, if you wake up early on the 24th, and it could be on the 23rd because the moon will be at a slightly different place, or the 22nd or 21st, or even Monday the 20th. They'll all be out there. Now, Mercury and Venus may be really low in the sky, so you have to wait a little bit for those to rise, and then by then Saturn may have faded away because of the daylight that's approaching. But still cool to see. So I hope you enjoy learning about the terrestrial planets, because now we hadn't seen anything back then, and now we've sent spacecraft to all of the planets. We've sent it to Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and the dwarf planet Pluto, and several asteroids and comets, and you'll be learning all about that in the modules to come. So I hope you enjoyed learning about this, about the terrestrial planets. Please, if you have any questions or comments, you can email me. We can set up a Zoom meeting, meet in my office. But I will look forward to seeing you next week. So until then, I hope you all have a great week, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.